Hello, everyone, and welcome to the I Shall Bloom Show. Yes, a show where we interview stellar individuals whose work and legacy has profoundly uplifted our communities for the better. Each week, we interview a new guest. We take a deeper dive into the work that they're doing in their lives, sharing ideas, experiences, collectively. You see, here at I Shall Bloom, you shall bloom, and we shall bloom. Today, I have Mr. Scott Cranmer, and I don't know if Clarence is here, but he should be here. I think he'll be here soon. He should be, because he's got to share the screen. So, well, I'll introduce Mr. Scott Cranmer here. Well, he has the Havana Syndrome website, a wealth of information, and today we are going to talk about the victims' compensation application. We're going to do Texas because I'm in Texas. He's in California, so we're going to go through each state. Today we're going to do Texas. So if you haven't downloaded your form, or if you can, go and download the form so you can kind of follow through, or you can follow through with us. I don't know if Clarence is here, so Scott, you may have to show. Are you able to? Or I might. Tranquility is here, so she might be able to. Or Michelle, I don't know if someone can help me share the screen for that application. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to Mr. Scott Cranmer.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday.
Come on in.
Good afternoon. We're going to go over the Crime Victim Compensation Fund for Texas. We used Clarence as an example earlier this week. I don't know if we're going to be showing the video during the call, but
sorry.
is the video ready?
The video has, I downloaded it, and I was just trying to chop some things, so I thought we would just, I'll put the video out after we do the live. We'll go over it live, and then I'll put that video out today, the video that we did. Yeah, because, okay, so that works. So we'll go over it, the basic steps again, and then we'll put the video out there that we did that's in its entirety up there again later. And so the plan is to do, go ahead. So go ahead, Scott. It's your turn.
Sure. What the goal of this, we're all the victims of a crime, specifically directed energy weapon abuse. And the goal is to get acknowledgement from a government agency that we are suffering from this. We keep getting blown off from the federal government. The three-letter agencies use words like anomalous health incidents, Havana Syndrome, anything to throw us off as far as directed energy weapon abuse is concerned. So since the crimes being committed against us are not mainstream, they're not in the media, the government has only acknowledged that government employees and citizens, government employees and diplomats have been affected. And they came up with the Havana Act, which excludes citizens. Numerous victims have written the Havana Act committee and requested that citizens be added, but I don't believe the government has any specific criteria or ability to determine who has been affected and who hasn't, so they don't want to open the door and the floodgates to financial and medical assistance for everyone until they can get more information, which is being withheld by the three-letter agencies. So the goal is to get acknowledgement from a state-run agency that we are suffering from directed energy weapon attacks and experimentation with neuroweapons.
Yes.
I originally was listening to one of the conference calls, and somebody had mentioned that we are the victims of satanic ritual abuse. And they provided a link for a website that was offering financial support for victims of satanic ritual abuse. I applied, actually received a check for $500, which, had a light bulb go off in my head. Hey, there must be other agencies that are out there that are willing to help victims of crime and victims of satanic ritual abuse, basically. So I started doing some research, looking for corporate sponsors, and ran across the Crime Victim Compensation Fund of California. And started doing some research and found out that in the 70s, the federal government made it a mandate that each state create a crime victim compensation fund. So everyone in the United States has a fund in their state that they can apply to. Wanting more information, I picked up the phone. I called the California Crime Victim Compensation Fund and spoke with a nice woman. I explained that I was a citizen. I was experiencing Havana syndrome. She said that they currently don't pay out for Havana syndrome, but she encouraged me to apply. She cited human trafficking as an example, and she said years ago, we didn't pay for human trafficking as a crime, and enough people applied. We changed the rules, and we now pay out for human trafficking. So our goal is to apply to these state agencies in numbers so they change the rules and start paying out for Havana syndrome. And we're going in under the guise that we've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons. So we fall into their class of codes that they pay out for medical and financial assistance. The application, the woman strongly recommended that we apply in numbers because she said that's how you bring about change. And the application process is somewhat standard. If you don't have a copy of the application in front of you, what you want to do is you want to Google Texas Crime Victim Compensation Application. And a PDF will come up. It's between 6 and 8 pages. There are instructions. Just to go through some of the things that they ask. They ask for your personal information, your medical information, your insurance information. They give you a brief place to explain what your situation is, and I recommend attaching a cover letter. I provided a cover letter to Sandy, so she should have it. Hopefully she gets it up on the video. If she doesn't have it, she can email me and I'll give her a copy of the cover letter. But it basically says that we're the victims of directed energy weapon abuse and that we've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons. We've been ignored by the federal government as far as the Havana Act, which really makes the states upset. They like to pick up where the federal government leaves off as far as protecting citizens are concerned. And it is a plea for medical and financial assistance. The application for your employment information, it asks whether or not you filed a police report. It asks if you have a lawsuit pending, and then it asks for your contact information and your signature. It's somewhat standard. What is going to happen with the Crime Victim Compensation Board? They're going to get back to you very quickly when you send in your application and your cover letter. Of the 2 things that they asked me to provide, one was Well, there are three things they asked me to provide. Number one, they wanted a copy of all my medical receipts. Now, I know everybody is very good about documenting what's going on with them, and they've kept their medical receipts in hopes of being reimbursed at some point in the future. We always, as victims of this technology, are running to the doctor with ailments that don't really react to whatever the doctor prescribes. They're considered anomalous health incidents. So I spoke with my doctor, and he agreed to write a letter not stating that I had been diagnosed with Havana syndrome. It's not in his place as a doctor to do that. That would be a neurologist that would have to do that. But he was willing to write a letter stating that I have seen him over the years and have come in for numerous ailments and am experiencing anomalous health incidents. We're using the three-letter term that the three-letter agencies have used to describe Havana syndrome because it's so general. Anomalous health incidents can apply to pretty much any ailment in the body that doesn't make any sense the doctor can't explain. The second thing they're going to ask for is a police report. In the police report, I highly recommend that you don't bring up gang stalking. You basically use the cover letter that we're using that says that you're the victim of a directed energy weapon attack. You're experiencing anomalous incidents and that you believe that you've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons. You specifically need to tell them that you are unaware of who the perps are. You don't have any proof. If you start talking about that it's your neighbor or something like that, the police are going to go and interview your neighbor, and it's going to make the police report look suspicious, or maybe it's not an anomalous health incident and it's some sort of dispute between two neighbors. So we want to try and avoid that and say that we are unaware of who the perpetrators are, but we are positive that we're being abused with directed energy weapons and being experimented on neuroweapons. Now, once you send in your applications, it's very important. They give you 30 days to come up with the information that they request, or if you haven't come up with the information with 30 days, they close the file and you can't reapply for 7 years. So you have to be motivated and have your ducks in a row when you're ready to file for compensation with the state of Texas. Now, a lot of people may be nervous about going in and getting a police report, and I don't blame you. Nobody wants to get put on a 72-hour hold or laughed at by the police. So what I recommend, the order in which you do things is you send the application with the cover letter. You wait for their response acknowledging the fact that they received your application and your cover letter. Then they're going to send you a letter that requests the specific information. They're going to send you a letter from the Texas Crime Victim Compensation Board that's requesting that you get a police report. Take that letter into the police department with you when you go out to get the police report, because that gives them something in writing that says, hey, here, this is a state agency that is requesting this police report, and I need you to fill it out. I'm not in need of being put on a 72-hour hold. I'm not a threat to myself or anyone in society, but I'm here to document the fact that I'm being abused with directed energy weapons, and I believe that I'm being experimented on with neuroweapons. That way you minimize any potential issues that you may have with the police department. So then you're going to send the letter that you get from your doctor, the medical receipts, and the police report up to the Texas Crime Victim Compensation Board, and keep your fingers crossed that they go ahead and approve it. This 7-year rule, once you apply, and even if you're rejected, I believe they're going to change that, because I don't think that the government is going to be able to hide this for another 7 years. Dr. Robert Duncan, the late Dr. Robert Duncan, said that this program was going to end in 2025, which means that the information will be out in the media. It will be mainstream. They will take off that restriction. They will not then consider the crimes that are being committed against us as acceptable, and start to give us medical and financial assistance.
Oh.
So that's basically the process in a nutshell. And we went over the Texas application in the video, which Sandy will release on her YouTube channel. But we're here to answer any questions you guys have.
Yeah, I wanted to see if someone can share their screen. I'm scared to touch mine because it's always under attack. Should I share my screen? Because Tranquility put the application is in my chat. So could someone share their screen and show the application to Texas, or I can? I just didn't want to think that I'm going to lose you guys because of what I go through daily with the perks on my shows. You guys can hear me clearly? You hear me, Scott? Yeah. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. Tranquility, are you there?
I am here. I can't. They kicked me off, but I can share my screen. But you're going to have to give me just a few minutes to log on to the computer to share it. Is that okay?
Okay. And I put you as co-host. I don't know if you saw that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we can kind of go through it, because that was the whole thing that people. I don't know where Clarence is, and I'll talk to him. You know what I mean? So with the whole what we wanted to do was just go step by step, because that's what people want to see, and then actually put the video out afterwards. So she's going to show the screen, and then we'll just go over what he just talked about, because I had those questions of I don't even want to go near the policemen because of the stuff they've done to me, the cricket and all. But we need that form, Scott, right? We need the documentation that we was there to correlate with this application, right?
Yep. All the more documentation we have that we've been complaining about this, the better off we are as far as getting compensation is concerned. The further back they're going to go. If this all goes mainstream tomorrow and it's out in the media, half the country is going to apply for medical and financial benefits. We need to be able to have our documentation in place, which includes filing police reports with dates on it. Diaries are submissible in a court, keeping a diary with dates and times and things that have been done to you as far as experiment and torture is concerned. The more documentation you have, the better chance you have of getting more medical and financial assistance. For me, it's been 23 years. I don't have documentation dating back to 2001. I didn't start keeping the log until about 2011 or 2012. Sure. So it's going to be difficult for me to go back and prove that I've been a victim since 2001 if I don't have any documentation of any sort. So filing, I know it's scary going into the police department, but going in with the letter from the Texas Crime Victim Compensation Board stating that they require a police report in order to consider your application is going to provide the legitimacy and the credibility that you need to talk the police officer into taking the report and then giving you a copy. Be prepared that in California they charge $35 for a copy of the police report. I don't know what it is in Texas, so it's going to be about $35 to get the police report. And you may want to bring somebody with you when you go in the police station.
Sure.
Maybe two victims go at the same time, or you have a family member or you a friend go with you, just to make you feel a little bit better and make sure that you don't get cornered or tricked by the police.
Yes, that was my fear too, because I was like, when you told me about it. And someone in the chat said, "Is this only in Texas?" We know
No,
that
each state has their own crime victim compensation fund. And what you want to do is Google Crime Victim Compensation Fund in the state that you live in, and the PDF application will come up. You have the option of filling it out online or printing it up. I printed it up because I prefer a hard copy, and I wanted to include a cover letter which explained the situation because the space on the application wasn't large enough. But each state, there was some sort of federal mandate in the 70s that made each state create a crime victim compensation fund. So there's one for each state. And again, the goal is to apply in numbers under the God. We've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons. We're being abused with directed energy weapons. And we're looking for medical, financial assistance, as well as acknowledgement from a state agency that we are citizens and suffering from this technology.
That's the thing. Yes. So that's it's very unique. The wording makes sense. You know what I mean? So we have to when we do the video again, you can kind of go through it. So each state, you said, has a victims compensation application. They have their own fees. And you want to go, like you said, we want to do this in numbers because we want to acknowledge this. And you're saying that the time limit may run out because in 2025. So we need to start doing this now. So I think tranquility.
That's if you're rejected. If for some reason you don't get all your paperwork, you close the case for 7 years. But if this becomes mainstream in 2025 and they've closed your case in 2024, they're going to reopen the ability to apply for compensation because it's now mainstream and it's out there. So each state, I've done about 5 states tutorials, and I've gone through about 5 different states and their applications. Yeah. They're all similar. So going through the Texas application would be very similar to going through the other applications in the other states. So it'll be very useful for everyone.
Okay. Tranquility, are you ready to go through the application or? Oh, not yet. So.
Sure, that's fine, but you'll have to change my role so I can share the screen.
Okay, change the role to presenter.
I would believe co-host or panelist would work.
Oh, I thought I have you as co-host.
Yeah, I fell off. They kicked me out.
Oh, it did? Okay, sorry.
Okay,
thank you. Alrighty, so I just click on you and just click on your name. Attendees. Right, I'll click on your name. Okay. Okay, change role, co-host. Yes, so someone was asking a question, will we be doing Texas? Yes, we're going to do it right now. We're going to do Texas, but we're going to be doing each state. So she's already won in California, so we're going to, of course, the Californians can follow the one that will be up there as well, right? Follow the template.
Yeah, anybody in the United States can follow along. They're very similar.
Okay. All right. I think you're all set.
Okay, thanks.
So, I I mean, that just gave us some relief just to get some money coming in from them, get something from them. But it won't stop us from getting, like, the lawsuits and all that. This is just some money to help us as a victim. Actually, it'll show even that once that diagnosis is there, we can use it in a lawsuit, right, Scott?
Right now, there's nobody to sue. Even if you have a diagnosis of Havana syndrome, which would make it easier to apply for assistance, there's nobody who's taking responsibility. The federal government is pointing to defender Russia and a foreign actor, and they're dragging their feet. They're not admitting as much as they can as far as what they know about Havana syndrome. They're, just because of the name Havana syndrome, they should know off the bat that it's directed energy weapon abuse, and they should be calling it directed energy weapon abuse. And the reason they're calling it Havana syndrome is they're playing dumb and saying, "Oh, we don't know what it is." They're anomalous health incidents that originated in Havana.
Cuba.
Unacceptable. So
Yeah,
that's why we're appealing. That's why we're appealing to the state for assistance, and that's what the federal government has done. They've basically turned their back on us, and they said you need to go to your state for assistance. Wow. So we're going to the states. We're applying for victim compensation. We're contacting our senators. We're contacting our state senators and state congressmen to get them to enact neuro rights laws that protect citizens in the state. The NeuroRightsFoundation.org is the organization that's behind all of these state laws that have been passed.
Right.
They've got one in California, Colorado, and I think either Minnesota, and they're working on a number of other states. The more states that they can get to pass neuro rights laws, the better chance that we have with Congress as far as passing federal laws that make this illegal and give some sort of incentive to the perpetrators to stop what they're doing.
Wow. Well, guess what? Thank You Tranquility has pulled up the Texas application. So, yay! Thank you, Scott. If you don't mind, we can do a brief one, but we have a recorded one, and I'll put that up right after the show. But we'll do this kind of briefly. I know you're a busy man. Everybody wants you, so I appreciate you coming and taking both sides because Clarence is supposed to help you. So I thank you for jumping in and with an open heart, which you have, a sweet open heart. So.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you
for having me.
Yes. Okay, and everybody, and I'll say that everybody knows that how I love each. We're a TI family, and I love each and every one of them, every one of y'all. You know what I mean? My Texas y'all. I'm from California, but I got the y'all. So again, you guys, we are victims, and we win in numbers. So I wanted to do this when he saw him before and just thought about, yes, we are victims and we are going to win this thing. We can get something from them. So if we did it in a mass, all the people that come together in Texas, we go and we do this. And also we're going to do each state. We're going to come and do a tutorial for each state. So we got the blueprint or the template from Scott from California, who's already made money. Well, received some funds for the pain. So if he did it, we can do it too. So the first thing here we have, what is the, it says your English, Spanish, or other. So, of course, you're going to pick that. That's self-explanatory. So you mark that. And Tranquility, you want to go with it? You can see it, Scott, too, huh? So you want to go?
I'm bringing the application on my phone, so I can go through it with you on the phone. Sure. It asks for your language preference at the top, and then section 1 is victim information. It asks for your name, mailing address, contact information as far as your phone, your email address, social security number, gender, date of birth, and that's if the victim is deceased, date of death. If you've had somebody pass away who is the victim, you can actually apply for crime victim compensation on their behalf. That rounds out Section 1.
Yes.
Section 2
Section
is
2 is very important.
Is the crime information. It says you must complete this section or your application cannot be processed. We're going to go ahead and mark all of the things that you with, which would include adult sexual assault. Some people have experienced robbery, stalking, aggravated assault, assault on family, human trafficking, and you're going to check other.
Other. Make sure other, you guys.
Other, we're going to explain in the cover letter that we've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons. So checking other is very important.
Very important.
Yes. Then ask for the date of the crime. My crime is ongoing. So I put the date as far as my start date, which was after 9/11 in 2001. If you have not reported the assaults to the police department, then go ahead and leave the law enforcement agency blank. If you've contacted the FBI, I might put FBI, but provided no report. Location of the crime is going to be location of the crime. No worries. Location of the crime. I would put the location that you were first assaulted, and in the cover letter, we're going to include. Basically, you're going to explain that the frequencies follow you no matter where you are. It's not specific to your house. It's constant 24/7, regardless of your physical location. Then it asks for the alleged suspect's first name. We don't have any proof that a lot of us have proof, but we don't have any proof that the law enforcement agencies are educated enough to understand. So it's best to say that we don't know who the alleged suspect's first name, we don't know who the perpetrators are. We just know that we're being assaulted with directed energy, and we've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons, and we do not have any proof or are sure beyond a shadow of a doubt who the perpetrators are.
Okay.
Then has the suspect been arrested? You're going to put no. Have charges been filed? No. And there's no case number.
Right.
And then there's that small section that says brief description of crime. It doesn't give. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just repeating it. Like I just want to make sure that the big valid things, because I know you're going to say we're going to need to put a cover letter together on that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the brief description of the crime. You want to briefly mention that you've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons, and you're being assaulted with directed energy weapons. And then say, please see attached cover letter explaining in more detail. Next section is a brief description of your injuries. All of us have injuries. It's usually 24/7 pain or torture. Some of us have permanent injuries as a result of the abuse. Some of us have been disabled as a result of the abuse. That section, you want to indicate the extent of your injuries.
Yeah.
The next question, if this family violence crime, have you obtained a permanent protective order? You're going to put not applicable because we're not sure who the perpetrator is. We don't want to say that it's somebody in your family. So we're going to put not applicable. And it says, if this is a family violence crime, are there any prior incidents reported to law enforcement? We're also going to put not applicable as well.
Okay.
The next section is 2A, and it says crime information forensic medical exam. If this is the sexual assault was a forensic medical exam performed, I am assaulted in my private region, so I would put yes to the sexual assault, but in this section I would put that no medical exam was performed. There's no evidence to gather through some sort of rape test that would prove that I've been assaulted with directed energy weapons. So we put no for that section 2A, the first question. Are you seeking reimbursement only for expenses incurred in connection with emergency medical treatment received at the time of the sexual assault forensic medical exam? I would put no. We're seeking reimbursement for all medical expenses and financial support for disability as well. Section 3 is the claimant information. The claimant is a person other than the victim who has out-of-pocket expenses as a direct result of the crime. Is an immediate family member who requires psychiatric care as a result of the crime, or someone who has legal authority to act on behalf of the victim. CBC cannot discuss a claim with anyone who is not listed as a claimant. If there are additional claims, please list them on a separate sheet of paper and include all the required information. I believe that if you have a family member who has out-of-pocket expenses as a direct result of the crime as far as helping you pay for medical expenses, I would include them in this section, like a family member. But if not, I would go ahead and leave that blank and keep them out of it. If you owe money to somebody, like a family member or a friend, for medical expenses, I would apply on behalf of them.
Okay.
But if you don't and you've incurred the medical expenses yourself, then I would leave that section blank.
Okay, thanks.
Section 4 is for medical. It says reasonable and necessary health care for a victim as a direct result of the crime. Medical insurance and benefit plan must meet the legal obligation to pay crime-related expenses. So if I've been to the ER twice, I've been to the doctor many times over the years, and the question is, did the victim require medical treatment at the time of the crime? You're going to put yes, and I received medical treatment ongoing. You want to include the information on your medical doctor. Again, I would use your medical doctor, not a neurologist. You don't want them to ask for a Havana syndrome diagnosis from a neurologist. The doctor that you've been going in and seeing for years and complaining about anomalous health incidents, use that doctor and put their address, their phone number, and their contact information. Did the victim require additional medical treatment upon release from the hospital or clinic, or did the victim seek any other medical treatment? If you seek medical treatment from another doctor, you're going to put that healthcare provider information there as well. Most of us have seen multiple doctors. So put the doctors that you've seen as far as anomalous health incidents, you want to put their information there to show that you've been treated for the crime and the abuse with the directed energy weapons. The next section asks about victim disability information. A lot of victims have been disabled as a result of the attacks. Was the victim a person with a disability? If you were disabled prior to the attacks, you would put yes. If not, you're going to put no. Let me make sure that I have that right. Was the victim a person with disability? You would put no, because if you were not disabled when you were first attacked, you would put no. But disability, but what the disability was. Does the victim have a new disability due to the crime? Here you're going to put yes if you've been disabled or have trouble working. And then it gives you a section to the right. If yes, describe. You want to describe the extent of your difficulty as far as getting to work, missing work, not being able to maintain the upkeep in the household, not being able to basically live a normal life as a result of the attacks.
Yeah.
The next section asks for victim insurance information, and this is pretty straightforward. It says the victim have health insurance or benefit plan to cover medical expenses at the time of the crime. Does the victim have health insurance or benefit plan to cover medical expenses on the date of the application? These are all very specific to each person, so you're going to answer accordingly to your situation. It asks for the name of the medical insurance company or the benefit plan. Does the victim have Medicare? If yes, what type of Medicare? Has an application been filed with Medicaid or Medicare since the crime? I, in my case, have not filed for... I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia through Medicare, so I have not applied for Havana syndrome. I don't want to receive disability through Medicare, and I don't want to mess up that process with the Medicare people, so I have not applied with Medicare under Havana syndrome. So I am not aware of what would happen if I did, whether I'd be rejected or they would take away my disability for schizophrenia, or so I have left that, said no, I have not filed an application with Medicaid or Medicare in regards to directed energy weapon abuse and experimentation with neural weapons. If there are crime-related dental injuries, does the victim have dental insurance? In my case, I put no, but I do have 3 chipped teeth. So it's something that I would like medical assistance with. If you do have dental insurance, it asks for the name of the dental insurance company. Was the victim the driver of auto? If you have a car, you're going to put yes. If you don't have a car, you put no. If yes, does the victim have auto insurance? You're, of course, going to put yes, because everyone's required by law to have auto insurance. And then it asks the name of the auto insurance company. Did the owner of the auto involved in the crime? Actually, that question is in regards to a car accident. So was the victim the driver of auto? I would put no, because it's asking. The next question asks, did the owner of the auto involved in the crime have auto insurance? It's implying that there was a crime involved as far as vehicles are concerned. So I would put unknown for that question. and no for was the victim the driver of an auto, because this did not occur while you're driving, nor did it cause an accident, I believe. Was the suspect the driver of an auto? I would put either no or unknown. We're sticking to the adherence that we're unaware of who the perpetrators are. We're just at the police department and the Crime Victim Compensation Board to report that we're being assaulted with directed energy weapons and not point the finger at anybody specifically. I don't expect you to solve crime, but I do expect medical and financial assistance to help cope with the attacks.
Sure.
Is there any additional assistance available to the victim from workers' compensation, disability insurance, or Social Security assistance, or veterans benefits? If there is any information that you may have that you think would be applicable, I would check one of those boxes, but you can leave those blank because it doesn't seem as if it's pertinent to what we're after.
Sure.
Psychiatric care counseling available to victims or certain claimants. Please indicate who has received or who will be receiving psychiatric care counseling because of the crime. We're all suffering from an ongoing traumatic brain injury. And we all need to rehabilitate from the traumatic brain injury. Just listening to the V2K can be a shock to your system and can scare the daylights out of you. So we're going to request psychiatric care as well. So you would put your name, medical or mental health insurance, whether or not you have it, and the name of the insurance company. The next section 6 is loss of earnings. It includes reimbursement of loss as a result of medical treatment or participation in or attendance at investigation, prosecutorial, and judicial processes. Your employer will be contacted by CBC. Is the victim seeking loss of earnings? If you've missed any work, you're going to mark yes.
Yes.
Was the victim employed on the date of the crime? Most of us were employed when we were hit. So we're going to mark yes there. It's going to give you your employer's name and your address. It asks if the victim is self-employed on the date of crime. Did the victim occur while the victim was on the job? The last date that was worked and the date that was returned to work. So they're going to verify the amount of time that you missed from your job as a result of crime.
Okay.
Now, this will be a call from the Crime Victim Compensation Board, so it's not going to jeopardize anything, your job or anything at work. It's going to appear completely legitimate. It's going to be asking questions about you're missing work due to the fact that you're the victim of crime. So,
love that.
The next question is claimant employment information. Name of claimant seeking loss of earnings. If there are additional claimants, please list them on a separate sheet of paper and include all required information. Here you're going to put your name. If you're self-employed, you're going to put yes, not no. Employer name, phone, fax, address, city, and state. It's pretty much the same information that was this is your current information. It would be the same if you had the same job as the section before, but if it's a different job, you'd put that your current employer. Section 7 is loss of support available to dependents of victims who have lost support as a result of the crime. All dependents must be listed as claimants in this application. If you have children or you have dependents or people that are relying on you and you miss time of work, this is a place to put their name and how they were affected uh, during your attacks and your missing work. Section 8 is relocation. This is a big theme with targets. A lot of them are harassed until they move into a new location. Most of the time it's in haste, and it's a downgrade, and it's a situation and an environment that's not as comfortable as the old environment was, because you're settling on moving quickly to try and escape the attacks. Relocation is available to a victim of family violence, a victim of sexual assault who is assaulted in the victim's residence, victim of stalking, or victim of human trafficking. Please indicate adult household members of the victim at the time of the crime. List the name of the adult household members. If you relocated as a result of this, I would put that in this section. If you need to relocate because you're in an uncomfortable situation, I would indicate that in section 8 in the relocation section as well. Section 9 is for funeral. This is for people that have passed away and their families are applying for funeral expenses. It includes funeral and burial expenses incurred as a result of the crime. Please attach a copy of the funeral and burial contracts, if available. Section 10 is crime-related travel. Includes travel exceeding 20 miles one way to participate in attendance at funeral services, medical appointments, including psychiatric care, counseling, and criminal justice proceedings. This is applicable to victim or claimants. Please list the victim or claimants requesting travel. A lot of people have traveled to Colorado. A lot of people have traveled to New Jersey to see Dr. Dushenko, the neurologist, to try and get diagnosed with Savannah syndrome. I traveled out to Springs in California to meet up with Roger Tulsis, who uses the signals. I've traveled to try and get away. I've traveled many times. Trouble remembering all its 160 miles traveled to get to an area to try and get help for the crimes that have been committed. So you're going to list your travel in section 10. And then we move on to section 11, which is crime scene cleanup. This includes professional cleaning services for crime scene cleanup. It does not include repair or replacement of damaged property. Submit itemized bill from professional cleaning company if available. And then it asks you if you have homeowners or renters insurance, and if yes, what the company name is. My crime scene cleanup is, I have a messy apartment because I'm dyslexic. Most of the time I feel horrible and I don't get around cleaning. Not a big deal. It can be done myself. It can be done for $200 with a housekeeper. So I don't have a large crime scene cleanup, but that it may apply to some other people, and they may have cleanup that needs to be taken care of. This is the section you would indicate whether or not you have a crime scene that needs to be cleaned up, and they're going to check to see if it's covered under your homeowner's or your renter's insurance. Section 12 is minor child or dependent care, available for or dependent care that is a new expense as a result of the crime. Care must be provided by a licensed care provider. Is child care or dependent care a new expense? If that's something that is new for you as a result of the attacks, you would indicate yes. If not, no. Section 13 is replacement of property C, available for clothing, bedding, or property seized by law enforcement as evidence or rendered unusable by the criminal investigation. This does not cover damaged or stolen property. Some people may have missing items because of break-ins in their house. Majority of us don't. And none of us have any property that was seized by the police, I believe. So this section was most likely to leave blank. Section 14 is the Department of Justice information. The following voluntary information is used for statistical purposes only to comply with federal regulations. And it asks for your race. It asks what is the victim's national origin, country of birth, and it says, where did you find about the crime victim compensation program? You can put internet, victim assistance program, poster, because Sandy put together a poster, or other, or mark all of them. But they're just interested in how you found out about the compensation program. Section 15 is attorney information. This section refers to representation by an attorney who assists the victim or claimant in filing for crime victim compensation or in pursuing civil legal action for monetary damages. This does not include attorney representation for child custody, divorce, immigration proceedings, or criminal prosecution. So, according to what it says, is if you have an attorney help you apply for compensation, or you've hired an attorney in the past to help you, they're willing to consider compensating you for it.
Wow.
The question they ask specifically has an attorney been hired or retained to help the victim claimant complete this crime victim compensation application? Most of us can do it. It's pretty self-explanatory. We can do it ourselves, so we would mark no.
Right.
I wouldn't hire an attorney to help you fill this out, because if you do, for some reason, get rejected, they're not going to compensate you for it, so it would be a waste of $500.
Right.
Has an attorney been hired or retained to represent the victim or claimant's interest in pursuing civil legal action against the suspect offender or in an insurance claim related to this crime? Most of us don't know who the perpetrators are or have enough proof to actually hire an attorney and take them to court. Your best bet, I believe, would mark no as far as that question is concerned. But if you do mark yes, there's space below that for the attorney's name, mailing address, and contact information. Section 16 has a lawsuit or other settlement information. Is the victim or claimant a party to a lawsuit, insurance, or other type of settlement related to this crime? The answer to that is no, unless you're involved. If you're one of the few people that's involved in the targeted justice lawsuit, I would put yes. If you just signed up for that lawsuit, paid the $15 for that group that is trying to form the lawsuit, if it hasn't been filed yet, I would put no. And unknown. Just to keep things from getting confused. Has the victim or client received insurance or any other type of third-party settlement funds related to this crime? Most of us have not received any funds or medical and financial assistance specifically related to directed energy weapon abuse and experimentation with neural weapons. So the answer would be no.
Okay.
Section 17 is application assistance. Did somebody help you complete this application? We're going through the application in general. There's no need to put my name or my information, but you're welcome to if you need to. I would mark no, that you filled it out yourself. it looks like they're asking for whether or not an agency or an organization has helped you fill out the application. And we're not an agency or organization. We're just an individual. So you're probably best marking no as far as application assistance.
Okay.
The last page is the acknowledgement and authorization. By signing your name, the victim name, you're authorizing the release of information so they can do their due diligence. And it says, I hereby authorize any financial institution, social service agency, government agency, hospital, physician, mental health facility, counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, lawyer, or any other person with information referring to my financial health or employment status to release information concerning this application for benefit to the employees of the Crime Victim Compensation Program of the Office of the Attorney General as needed to process this application. This information includes, but is not limited to, criminal, medical, financial, and employment information. A copy of this signed release will be considered the same as the original. And then it gives you I understand and agree that if false, misleading, or intentionally incomplete information is provided, my application for compensation may be denied, and I may be subject to criminal punishment under the Texas Penal Code and the civil and administrative penalties under CH.56 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. So you're going to go ahead and find under victim and give them authorization to go ahead and verify the information that you filled out on the application. Like I said, it's fairly standard. They ask for employment information, personal information, medical information, police report information, insurance information, and they will respond when you send the application with the cover letter. They will respond very quickly, which is very nice. It's reassuring to get a letter back from them. But again, it's very important. I'd like to reiterate, once you start the process, you only have 30 days to follow up with the requested information that they require. For me in California, they required a letter from my doctor, which I would convince them that I had anomalous health incidents and I needed a letter of that type. I showed him the letter from the Crime Victim Compensation Board that was requesting a letter from my doctor. Thank goodness they didn't ask for a diagnosis for Havana syndrome, so my general physician was able to produce a letter that said I've been seeing it for years, the medical history, brief medical history, and that I have been suffering from an anomalous health incident for years. The other thing they asked for were the medical receipts so I could be reimbursed. And the final thing that they asked for was a police report. Now, they will send you a letter that says that they're requesting a police report. It will be on the stationery from the Texas Crime Victim Compensation Board. Bring a friend with you or bring a partner with you so you're not isolated by yourself. And go into the police department and let them know that you need to document the fact that you're the victim of Havana syndrome. You're the victim of directed energy weapon attacks. You believe you've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons, but you don't know who the perpetrators are beyond a shadow of a doubt. So you're there not to report anybody, but to document the fact that you're suffering, that you're a citizen.
Okay.
And that pretty much wraps up the application.
All righty, question time. I know, this was awesome, huh? I mean, it's beautiful the way you just did it so like a teacher and a lawyer. So any questions, anyone? Because we're going to do each state, but today we're doing Texas. Any questions?
Amen. God bless everyone. This is Samia. I just want to say to Scott. Thank you so much, Scott, for continuing to help make the difference in the TI community, really giving this kind of information that we all really need to know so that we can be compensated. So thank you, Scott, for continuing to make the difference, and God bless you for what you're doing for everyone. And thank you, Sister Sandra, for having him, and thank you for the I Shall Bloom show as well, and certainly for all what you do as well to help make the difference in the TI community. So God bless you all.
Thank you, Samia.
Thank you, Samia. Happy Friday.
Samia, thank you so much, too. And thank you, Scott, for just being a trooper, too, to hop back in again and teach. Such a beautiful heart. I thank all of you guys. And Tranquility, I thank you, too, so much for because Clarence is supposed to do what you did, but you're always so available and always so willing, such a beautiful heart. So I want to say thank you, too, for what you did. For, that was major, helping us out with the form so we can go through, step by step. So even in this hard times and this hard process, God brings us together, and just look how many members, we all have different parts that God has gave us to bless, that we have strengths in. We have a strength. So when we all come together, regardless of the purpose, all the things we have to go through to get here, we're here. So I know that there's some questions about this because we want to do it in each state. We deserve it. We are suffering. We suffer. We are victims of, the direct energy weapons of a crime, a heinous crime. So let's do this. Let's do it. We got to hold them accountable. So, thank
We're
you.
all bonded together in a unique way until we're free, and we all have that in common, that we're all striving for acknowledgement, medical and financial assistance, and ultimately freedom and prosecution for people that are responsible for what they're doing.
That's right. Yes. I'm angry. Oh, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
In the police report, because I have several police reports with break-ins, things that they broke around the house, cut my wires, does the police report have to say Havana syndrome or electronic energy weapons directed at you?
You don't want to. This is one of the people in California ran into trouble. They used an old police report of a complaint they had against a neighbor, and it threw off the Crime Victim Compensation Board in California. If you can get a police report that basically very simply states that you're a citizen, you're being assaulted with directed energy weapons, and you don't know who the perpetrators are, that serves as documentation, number one, and that's exactly what they're looking for. If you give them an older police report that involves, like a dispute with a neighbor or a break-in of some sort, it's not describing what you're applying for, which is directed energy weapon abuse. So your police report would want to say something along the lines of you're being experimented on with neuro weapons, you're being abused with directed energy weapons, but you don't know who the perpetrators are, and you basically don't expect the police to go after anyone. You're just there for documentation on behalf of the Texas Crime Victim Compensation Board to get the police report and the documents submitted so you can get assistance.
Okay. And does the application prevent further process of lawsuits that may occur if you are given compensation through this program?
No, it's not a lawsuit. So if I know that's one of the reasons why I didn't sign up for that $15 lawsuit with a bunch of people, because I spoke with an attorney, and the attorney said that there's a small chance that if they go to court and sue the FBI and lose or get a really small judgment, that it disqualifies you from future lawsuits because the courts will look at it and say, well, this matter was already settled in court and you've been compensated. This is not a lawsuit. This is an application and an appeal for financial and medical assistance. They're not going to investigate the perpetrators. Their job is to determine whether or not a crime has been committed and whether or not you qualify for financial and medical assistance.
Okay.
Along with the packet that they're going to send you, especially if you mark the area with disability, they're going to send you a list of benefits. I didn't see it on the application, the PDF, but they're going to send you a list of benefits for Texas. A lot of the benefits include like relocation expenses. If you've been disabled, they will spend a lot of money to bring the house or your residence up to par so you can live comfortably with your disability. If your car has been, in California, if your car has been damaged as a result of this or the disability, they're willing to fix the car to bring it up to operating condition or give you $30,000 allowance to buy a new car. So I'm not sure what the limits are and the benefits are for Texas specifically. You'll find out when you send the application in. But it will send you a list of things that they do compensate for, and you'll be surprised. It's very comprehensive and encompassing.
Okay, that's pretty good. And then one last question. You mentioned don't go to a neurologist, because I do have a really good neurologist who has diagnosed me with a couple of things. You said mainly go to your primary physician with the different nuances that you've had throughout the years. I know my primary physician wasn't very good, but she referred me to so many different doctors that couldn't tell me anything. So it's best to get a letter from your regular physician and not the neurologist, correct?
I would wait until you'll probably list the neurologist you've been seeing as far as doctors are concerned. I would go to the doctor that they recommend you go get a letter from. So if they say go to your general doctor and get a letter from your general doctor, go to your general doctor and get a letter from your general doctor. He can't diagnose Havana syndrome. So if you use your general doctor, you have an advantage because they're not expecting a letter that says that you have been diagnosed with Havana syndrome. With a neurologist, there's a small chance that they may ask for a diagnosis of Havana syndrome, but it's not likely. So I wouldn't hesitate to put if you have a good relationship with your neurologist, and you can talk your neurologist into writing a letter that says you suffer from anomalous health incidents, not Havana syndrome. You don't really want to get your doctor in trouble by having him diagnose Havana syndrome. Then that's even better than your general doctor. So I wouldn't hesitate to go to the neurologist and try the neurologist. But wait till they send you a letter and do specifically what they ask. If they say general doctor, go to the general doctor. And if they say get a letter from your neurologist, then approach your neurologist and get a letter from your neurologist.
All right. Thank you very much for those questions.
Sure.
Responses. I appreciate it.
Great question.
Mr. Scott, Miss Sandy, this is Queen. Mr. Scott, are you still there? Hi.
Yes,
Good
Queen.
afternoon.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Scott, I have a question for you, sir. My question pertains to all the things that you said are wonderful. However, what about those people that have been dealing with this trauma? However, they are not able to get to a doctor that is willing to acknowledge it. Either they are afraid to acknowledge it, or for whatever situation, they are not able to acknowledge it for their own safety. But they do see the signs. That's the first question. The second question that I have is the police department that are involved. The word DEW They do not even want to hear that word, nor do the FBI want to hear that word if you were to call to report that you are being hit with this. They don't want to hear that. They cancel the call, they drop the call. What is your recommendation on how to go about getting some type of a documentation that actually indicates what is being done to you that you can then use to submit the application? I'll take my comment off the air. Thank you.
Sure. With the doctor, if you can't talk them into using the phrase anomalous health incidents, which is pretty general, and they shouldn't have an issue with it, then you need some type of letter that lists the ailments, the dates you came in, why you came in, what you were seen for, that type of thing. As detailed a letter as possible from your doctor to explain the various ailments that you've had throughout, random ailments that you've had throughout your body that don't make very much sense. If you're concerned about using the word directed energy weapon, I would use the word Havana syndrome and neuroweapon. Instead of directed energy weapon, stay away from that.
Right. Great question, Queen. Any other questions? I'm sure there's more.
Yes. Hi, Sandy.
Hi,
everybody.
Michelle.
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for sharing. I tuned in a little bit late, so I don't know if you covered this or not, but I was wondering if I could use for an injury the loss of my job because I lost it, because of this. And so I just want to know if I could put that down for an injury.
Yeah, you were disabled as a result of the attacks and unable to work as a result. Am I hearing you correct?
Well, no, I lost my job because I refused to get a mental health assessment, and I had complained about the sabotage to HR, and it backfired on me. I was reluctant to do it, but because I loved my career, I decided to go to HR, and I said things that could be proven, that people ganging up, trying to get me in trouble, and I think as a result, they wanted me to get a mental evaluation, which you probably know is common, and I refused to do it. Never gotten in trouble in 5 years on the job, always got promoted. And so as a result of not getting the mental assessment, I was terminated. And I wanted to know if that could be considered an injury.
Absolutely. I would consider that an injury. You're dealing with external frequencies that are affecting your mental patterns. You complained about it, and you ended up losing a job because of it. You've been disabled since then and unable to get back to work, and I think that would qualify you, or at least they would consider paying you out for disability as a result of it. The reason you lost the job was because of the attacks, and that would qualify as disability, being paid under disability.
Okay, and thank you so much. And then I never complained of the frequencies or anything like that. I just worked through it, even though it was very difficult, as it is to do anything that way. But I complained of groups of people emailing my supervisor to get me in trouble, and my supervisor actually supported me, but HR did not. And I just want to make sure that's understood. I've not gone to a doctor since I found out I was targeted. I went prior to it and complained about, the ringing in my ear, which brings another question. Can I use that? I never even knew what targeting was hadn't paid attention to Havana syndrome much in the news.
If you complained of stalking at your work and you were let go because of that, I might leave that out. But definitely the ringing in your ears, and any doctors that you have seen as a result of that, and anything that's preventing you from working full time and living a normal life because of these attacks, I would include in the reasons why you were disabled at this point.
Okay, now if I could get a job, even as egregious as it feels, with the dues, I would work. So I don't know if I'm disabled. I'm disabled because I hadn't gotten a job yet because I've been blacklisted or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure I'm filling this out. When we do my state, I'm in Virginia. I just want to make sure that I'm putting in the correct information.
No, I would put that I wouldn't mention anything about blacklisting. I would say that the physical toll, because of the external frequencies, is taking too much out of you to be able to work full time, and you're doing your best to find a part-time job that meets your needs and something that you can actually do with the ongoing abuse that you're receiving from Havana syndrome and neuroweapon experimentation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. My last question is, can I get in touch with you? There was something else I wanted to talk with you about, and I think you have public information, maybe at TI events or something, but if I could, I'd just like to maybe email you over the next couple of weeks. One email.
Sure, I'll give you my phone number if you like. Do you have a pen?
I do.
It's 310.
Okay.
339.
Okay.
0162.
Okay, thank you. I'll shoot you a text first saying this is Michelle, and I was on the Sandy show when you were on there, and hopefully you'll remember me.
Perfect. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You
Thanks,
got it.
Michelle.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, Scott.
Hi, I have a question.
Hi, is this Tranquility?
Yes, it is. Hi. Quick question. I don't remember if you mentioned it today or not, but I know you mentioned it on previous presentations that we need to get a note from the doctor. If we're not able to get a note from our primary care physician, what do you think of the likelihood of us calling into like a teledoc type scenario and getting some sort of teledoctor to write us up, say a note saying that we suffer from AHI?
That might work. That might be a nice solution. What I would recommend is if you can't get the doctor to write a letter that says you're dealing with anomalous health incidents, then I'm sure you've gone into the doctor over the years many times for many things. Tell him that you need a list of the times that you've come into their office, and what you've been seen for, what you've been complaining of, and what he's recommended as far as treatment is concerned. So you can show the progression of all of the visits to the doctor that you've gone through over the years. With a teledoctor, they're not going to have the history. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. You might be able to find one that's willing to write an anomalous health incident, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because they don't have that history with you and that relationship with you like your primary doctor does. And it may be easier, even if you can't get a letter that says you're suffering from anomalous health incidents, a letter from the doctor, and you can show the doctor that the letter from the Crime Victim Compensation Board that's requesting the letter from the doctor. He'd be happy to provide something for you. Tell him ideally you'd like it to say anomalous health incidents, but at the very least you need an itemized list of all the times that you've come in, what you've come in for, what's been prescribed, and what the outcome has been.
Okay, so when we initially submit our applications, do you recommend that we include the note from the doctor initially, or do you think we can wait until after we submit it and they come back and say, we need a note from your doctor?
Go ahead and submit the application. They may not ask you for a note from the doctor.
Okay.
So only go out and get the stuff that you have to. If you submit the application and they don't ask for a police report, then you don't have to submit one. You don't have to go get a police report.
Okay.
Fill out the application as best as you can. Send it out. Know that you're on the 30-day clock to get everything back to them. What you can do while you're waiting after you send the application is start to gather your medical receipts and make copies so you can give them copies for reimbursement. Wait for the acknowledgement letter, and then a day or two after the acknowledgement letter comes, there will be a list of items that they request that they need as far as follow-up is concerned. For me, it was the note from the doctor and the police report.
Okay. Have you received an answer back regarding your situation?
No, I had 2 deaths in the family, so I called them and I told them that I had deaths in the family and that I need more time, so I have not received a rejection letter. But I do have a friend who did hear back from the California Victim Board. He was rejected because he submitted an old police report with complaints about neighbors. So that's why it's important with your police report to not point the finger at gang stalkers or anybody that you don't have any, direct proof, and document the fact that you're being assaulted with neuroweapons and you're being experimented with Havana syndrome.
Okay. And one more thing. If anybody is declined, are there any rules against us turning right back around and reapplying?
They say that once you're declined, I think you believe you have to wait 7 years. But I don't think that the crimes that this technology is going to be hidden for 7 years. So they're going to change their tune and they're going to make it, basically as soon as this is in the media and it's mainstream, they're going to open it up again for compensation.
Gotcha. Thank you for answering my questions, and I'm sorry to hear of the loss of your family members. Thank you for being here, and God bless you.
Oh, thank you, Tranquility. You're so sweet.
You're
so
welcome.
Nice to be in touch with you.
Same here. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott, it's me, Queen, again. I have another question, if I may.
Sure, Queen.
Can you hear me? I have a question pertaining to when you go to your doctor's appointment or when you go to all these different appointments and you have insurance that is taking care of your appointments. Now, how does that play into this application? Because you already have insurance that's covering those appointments.
You're going to provide the insurance information on the application. The Crime Victim Compensation Board is going to reach out to the insurance company and verify the information that you provided.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
This is Queen T.I. I'd like to know if I can also ask an important question.
Of course.
Yes, so I wanted to ask a question regarding relocating to maybe areas in the states that has low EMF. Have you heard any testimonies from any individuals that have maybe moved to another area where there's less people and there's no EMF within that area?
I know people that are convinced that it's EMF, and it comes through the power system in their house. And then I know people that live out in the boondocks in the middle of nowhere and don't have any power and still get hit. I know that there are areas, there's the cell-free area on the East Coast, I think in West Virginia somewhere. People have strived to move there to get away from cell service and all the frequencies, and that hasn't worked either. From my experience, moving doesn't help. Often you move in haste and you end up downgrading your living environment, and it can get depressing because you're not as happy as you used to be. If you feel that you're in an area where you're being overly exposed to EMF, then look at what the Crime Victim Compensation Board, the paperwork that they're going to send you, what they compensate for. You may be able to, they may be able to pay for relocation expenses. If you can prove to them that you're being assaulted in that particular area, and you can convince them that moving to a different area would provide some sort of relief.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Great question.
I would like to say, and maybe Scott or Sandy or somebody, you could maybe validate this, but a policeman in a different state gave me some advice, and he advised that I stay at least an hour away from an airport. If you're, I think probably for obvious reasons. And I just wanted to say that the closer that you are to a bunch of towers, the worse. And then I have, what's that? Oh, okay. I thought someone was saying something. But one time I rented a room for months in a very rural area, and I got hit like crazy. So I don't think that there's a great escape that we would love to have. But and then the other thing was so my second question, I'm sorry, is if our country got hit with a power grid, would they still be able to send the dues?
I believe that the technology is something that's not used by the utility companies. I believe it's a combination of scalar and microwaves. And if the power went out in the entire country, they still would be able to communicate with you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Great question.
Thank you.
Questions? Anyone? More questions?
Yes, I was in a car accident.
Hi.
And I got hurt in a car accident. Hi, Sandy. Sorry.
That's okay.
And since I've been off from the car accident because I got hurt, I've been getting hit really hard. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go back to work. Because of, the hits and the infrasound.
Was the car accident caused by the Havana syndrome and the neuroweapon attacks?
No, I think that was gang stalker.
Something. Okay.
Right.
At that point, you would want to indicate that the attacks are so frequent that you're having difficulty getting back to work. And the attacks have caused you to be disabled, and see if that opens up benefits for disability.
Okay,
and you can include that in your cover letter. You can explain that in your cover letter. I wouldn't mention anything about the gang stalking. I would say you sustain injuries in a car accident, and you've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons is disabling, and you're having trouble getting back to work and finding work again and getting back on your feet, and see if that opens up benefits for disability.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Good question. I have a question. I was a traveling nurse, so I was hit through different states. I'm actually from California, but I'm here in Texas. So what if I file in Texas, then go home to California and file again? Would that be, I wonder if someone can do that, because it was terrible out there. It was terrible. I was in Pennsylvania. It was terrible there. I have several places that I owned property before and lost and left because of, didn't know why, just sit in the house. So I'm wondering if I can go back to those places where I did have a resident and they, the cop, wanted to take from me that started this whole thing. But I'm thinking, what do you think about that, in the different states?
I think that you were hit initially in California, which would qualify you for compensation in California. And I think that you're being ongoingly hit in your current state in Texas.
Yeah.
I think you have every right to apply to both states because the crime occurred in both states.
Yeah.
However, I don't believe that you can receive benefits from both states. I think you'll get in trouble if you receive benefits from both states, but I don't believe that there would be any issue in applying for both California and Texas simultaneously.
Okay, yeah. Because, California is always kind of mostly the leader in all, like when all of this happens and when the funding comes, California most of the time is number one. They always get, and, the rest of the states kind of follow. So I'm trying to think, should I apply for California first and then see how that goes? And then Texas, because I'm a resident here now. Well, not, I live here now, so I am a resident. So
I would
that's
try
what I'm
both.
thinking.
I don't see any reason to try both at the same time.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
That's awesome. I was going to run with that. Great question, Sandy. Scott, until you said, not because I'm thinking I've been in 4 different states. So, okay. Well, that's good. That was a good learning experience.
Yeah, so we can, that's lost so much.
And it's an ongoing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just asking any more questions, but go ahead. You speak.
Well, it's an ongoing crime. So, I traveled I went down to San Diego and I went on a cave tour, a gold mine tour, and I went about 450 feet down underground, and I could still hear the signals. I could still hear them talking to me. I could still feel them hitting me in the solar plexus. I drove down to Mexico thinking it was just like your cell phone. If I get out of the country, the signal will stop. It didn't stop. That didn't work. And then I got on a plane and I flew to Argentina, South America. And the V2K was talking to me on the airplane the entire time. And as soon as I got off the plane in Argentina, I could still hear them. I could still feel them. I turned around and I went straight back to Los Angeles. So it's an ongoing crime that follows you no matter where you go.
Where you go.
And if you've lived in different states, then I would apply for victim compensation in each of the states that you were suffering in.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. You guys, so we have to do, I don't know, the next state we have California, we can use a template for. We're going to do Texas. So what's the next state? Or should we just go ahead and apply? The Texas people who are here on the line, we're going to go ahead and do ours as a group. What's the next state you guys want to do? I would just put the states in a bag and then pull a state. Huh?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay. Well, you said it. So the next one will be Maryland.
Okay.
Yes.
Maryland.
We can do that next Friday if you want.
Next Friday? Okay.
That'll be great.
Next Friday? Okay. Sure.
My name is Lorraine, and I live in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Yes.
And yes, and I have a handicapped son, and he has a seizure disorder. And I've lived in this one house for 15 years. They have hit him with direct energy weapons, and as well as me. For 15 years, he's been sick, constantly seizures over and over and over and over. Right. Okay. I live among them. I live in townhouses, and my community around me, they have moved all around me.
Yeah.
And it seems like in the beginning, my house was a training house where they were teaching younger people, because I see so many young people doing things, and well, it's not just young people, it's everybody. But we won't get into the stalking part. But the direct energy and the frequency, I have equipment that I use, and during his time he's having a seizure, the numbers would go up so high. Okay, it would be hitting us left and right. I have been knocked out 7 times in this house. Just knocked out, just fall out.
Yeah.
Okay, they have hit me so hard, right? And they will make him have seizures constantly to keep us in the hospitals, out of the hospitals, so it would give their people, I guess, a job to do. It's all connected with stalkers as well. You know, so they can be there and watch you, and the hospitals is connected, and of course law enforcement is connected, and ambulance and all of them. It's all connected. Okay, so I'm trying to move, and they have, I guess, contacted people because they hear you, and my house is bugged. I have clicks in my house. I have noises in my house. And I have lived with it for many, many years. By the grace of God, I'm still here. And my son. Okay? But, and I'm still dealing with it. They always, when I talk about things, they punish me. They make him have seizures to punish me, to get at me.
Yes.
Okay? And it's horrible. It is a nightmare. And I can't go anywhere because they'll come in my house.
Yes.
They will definitely come in your house now. All right? And it won't be no break-in. It will be tools that they use like they have a key. So, and I'm trying to move, and I guess because they see everything that I do on my computer, on my tablet, okay, they inform people before I get there, so I can't get the house. They want to keep their operation going right here in this house because they have everything set up. Everything. I mean, everything set up right here around me, next to me, underneath of me, across from me. Everything set up. And it's been like this for years. And I can't move. They won't allow me to move anywhere, you know. I
understand. So, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't know if you were finished.
No, it's just that at this point, all I could do is, like we said, write letters to senators and congressmen, report it to the police department. But nothing is being done. I mean, it's nothing being done. And they get away with it. They're going to get away. They get away with it because and it's all illegal.
It's all
they put
illegal.
your name, right? They put your name on a fusion that list, the fusion center, and it goes out to everybody. So everywhere you travel, it follows you. Okay, from state to state. I don't care where you go, it's gonna follow you. And they recruit everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, they recruit everywhere. And your name is mud wherever you go, whatever kind of letter they put out or whatever the lies they tell on you. Okay, I mean, and people believe them.
Yeah, that's going back to what Scott was saying, that no matter where you go, you're going to experience the same thing. And it's called trafficking. It's trafficking because people are actually making a living off of you.
Of course. Of course. They do. They make a living off you.
Wow.
Okay? My 495, 395 Beltway is full of them all day long. They take shifts. Okay?
Yeah.
They take shifts. They never stop.
Mr. Scott, Scott, this is Queen again. I'm sorry. This is Queen again.
Thank you. Well, let me just say thank you. Thank you for your of the last young lady. I just want to say thank you, and we understand what you're going through because we've all been through it, and it's a normal. It's nothing. It's horrific, but we all we know about them all moving into the neighborhood because your neighborhood changes. And it's all gang stalkers moving in steps. So we understand that. And I wanted to talk to you, too, if you're thinking of moving out of state. We do have a person that's opening up their house in Florida for,
I'm not going to move.
No,
I'm going to
okay,
stay
so
right here. Well, I'm trying to move.
And that's good.
Location,
Keep that power.
That's all.
But,
not out of state. I just want to move because I need some room. I've been here a long time. And my house is full, okay? And I just need some bigger space. I know they're going to follow me. I know everywhere I go, you're going to have a neighbor on one side listening and a neighbor on the other side listening. And law enforcement or they turn switches on for your direct energy and knocking people out and making my son sick, okay, on a constant. And they get paid. This is their job.
It's their job. It's big
their
money.
Job. Yes, it is. But huge.
That's where we all come in. That's because we need to get this out because we've all been divided and no one talks about it. So just having all these different talks and they have the rallies coming up. They just have a rally going on right now, I think, too, in Chicago. If they just finished. Yes. Right. So we are getting the word out about this program, this horrific crimes that's being committed. And not making it easy for them to go and recruit these people to go and stalk us and harm in our sleep and break in our houses. We don't want to make it easy for them to say, I'm gonna get this quick money. No, we want to make it hard. So that's what this is all about. So even starting here with with this victims fund, and we're gonna start in your state next week. So just this little thing, that groups of people are making it aware. Somebody's watching. There's people that's watching. There's still some good cops out there, FBI, CIAs, all of those. There's a few good ones. They're scared. They can't deal. That's why we're chosen. We're dealing with this. It's hard. Most people couldn't. A lot of people didn't make it.
No, they couldn't. Right.
Right. So I applaud you, and I thank you. And so we will be talking again because we're going to do your state next week. So go ahead, Queen.
My name is Ethel.
Ethel?
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Ethel.
Hi, Ethel. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. You took a lot of this.
I'll listen next week. Is it on Friday as well?
Yes, I'll send you. I'll reach out to you today.
Okay, you want my phone number?
I see it. Is it up here on the screen?
Okay, I'm on my phone, but I guess it is.
Yes, and I usually get it once I
my computer, they oh Lord,
we know.
Get to okay, all right.
They got it.
Okay,
yes, I'll call you after the show.
Okay, dope. Okay.
All right, thank you though. But go ahead, Queen.
You.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Queen.
It's okay. Yes, I'm here. Everything that Miss Sandy said, in addition to what the lady said, we can all attest to. I mean, it's evidential. But the question that I have is, as long as this has been going on, this has been going on since the 60s. This has been going on since the 70s, 80s, 90s, now 2000. That's a very long time.
Yeah.
And so many people are suffering from these attacks. And it's not just one attack, like you see. Many aspects of this attack is being rendered to individuals to where it is considered a slow kill, because they are targeting your biology. They're targeting every aspect of your existence.
Women.
And importantly, especially, yes, women, and they're attacking your ovaries. They're doing a lot. But my question to you is, since we know that this situation is happening, and I'm sure that those that are in so-called, quote-unquote, in higher levels of politics or politicians, some of them are aware of this. And I also know, for me, where I'm in Michigan, Mr. Scott, and I know for sure that the state level, the local level, are all aware of this. Okay, when my targeted started, which I won't go into much detail, it was a city of Ypsilanti. I was doing my graduate studies, and I went to the gas station to get gas, and a lot of city of Ypsilanti guys and their trucks came to the gas station, and one in particular came up to me and said, "You can run, but you can't hide." I don't know what he was talking about, and I said, "Excuse me, are you talking to me?" And then he switched the conversation, and I'm talking about men, and they were just laughing and smirking, and this was the beginning of it. And I said, "Sir, you need to not talk to me like that." It was a black guy that came up to me. So I know that they know of this. They are aware of this. They might not know the detail of what is being rendered to individual, but they know that this is occurring to people. So from that standpoint, how in the world do we protect ourselves, our body, our organs, our lymph nodes, our, what we are? How do we protect ourselves? Because some of these shieldings, they do not work. They might work temporarily, but they don't really work in the long run. And these attacks are being done remotely. And we don't have a shielding. We don't have a firewall to protect ourselves. So what do one do? To me, the whole Picture Act needs to be abolished. We have to get to the root cause. These needs to be removed, dismissed, to get to the forefront of starting to heal from some aspect. Something has to be done at the root cause, if that makes sense. I'll take my comment up there. Thank you.
Absolutely, you're right. A permanent solution to our issue is far off. The best we can do right now is do our best to cope with the attacks and identify the things that they do to prevent us from living a normal life. And I'll give you an example. They keep me up all night. They wake me up at 1 o'clock, and I'm up until 4. And the objective is to ruin the following day. They usually pump me with frequencies until I say, "Forget tomorrow. I'm canceling my appointment, and I'm going to stay home." And at that point, they win, and they get isolated. I get isolated, and I get experimented with by new recruits I'm training, basically.
Right.
The other thing is they don't allow me to have an appetite. So what I have to do is force myself to eat. A lot of times I'm not hungry, so I get protein drinks. I get something in my stomach to protect it from the pain. I get this pain of my stomach digesting itself, and it's debilitating. And they do it and they say, "You're hungry. You need to go get something to eat." And it doesn't spur an appetite in any way whatsoever. So I end up sitting there for an hour or two in pain, curled up in a ball. It's much easier for me to go over to the refrigerator and get a protein drink, put something in my stomach so I have some sort of protection against the attacks to my stomach. Hydrating is another big thing. We're all getting assaulted with microwaves, which evaporate water. You've got to force yourself to hydrate, and not only do you need water, you need electrolyte, the stuff that's in Gatorade, as well. Their objective is to keep you in a provoked, angry, frustrated state. So if you find yourself provoked or angry or frustrated, they're winning and you're losing it. You've got to find a way to get out of it. You've got to find a way to prevent yourself from getting in that state, because they have 1,000 mind control exercises they can run on you when you're upset. If you're poking and prodding with somebody and you're looking for a reaction, if you piss them off and make them angry, you can eliminate 50% of the reaction. You know that if you poke and prod them, you're not going to get a happy reaction. You know you're going to get a negative reaction. So they keep you in a provoked, angry state because it's easier for them to predict how you're going to react to the experimentation with neuroweapons that they're going to go through and the mind control exercises they conduct.
Wow. Great.
Another question that I have for you, if you know, have you heard anything about the Neuroethics Committee?
Not the Neuroethics Committee, just the NeuroRightsFoundation.org. But I'm going to write that down and Google it and do some information, because they would be worth contacting and networking with.
Exactly.
Do you know where they're out of? What state?
Look it up. Let's see. Neuroethics Committee?
Neuro Rights Ethics Committee.
I was trying to log back in because I mute my microphone, but when I try to come back on, it's hard to come back on. So one is obviously being messed with.
Yeah, we hear it.
But it was during the interview that I heard that. I'll have to go back and find out.
Committee, if I can spell. Neuroethics, Neurorights. Oh, so.
There's a guy with. Sorry, Miss Sandy.
The International
It's
Society, Neuroethics Society. I'm going to copy and paste it's the Neuroethics Society, International Neuroethics Society, which I had never heard of. They're in Baltimore, and I copy and paste it and put it in the chat right now.
Good. Thank you.
There's a guy that is really into that, that is talking to us about that, and he's telling us to really try to focus on that, because that is a law that they're truly trying to pass, because that will mitigate some of this, this attack. But I don't know, because these attacks is coming from, for some people, from people that believe in their hearts that they are untouchable. So how do you even mitigate that, which is the part of the nonsense that one is dealing with? It's really, really sad to even hear this. It's just atrocious, to say the least.
It's so wild and so out there that when you tell people, normal people like family members and friends, they can't even comprehend that the technology exists and you're experiencing what you're experiencing. So the technology is so advanced that people can't even believe that A, something like that exists, and B, that they would use it against you for such evil purposes. We have an uphill battle.
Yeah. So it's been. I found the ethics community in healthcare institutions. In making decisions about healthcare, patient families, and physicians and other healthcare professions that face difficult life-changing situations. So it's a committee that comes together that they discuss all the different things that change, life-changing situations. That's what that committee is about. So this, and it's a brain initiative, it says, because now whatever this new brain initiative is, they have a committee that has an ethic committee, because there's unethical things going on, has already been going on. So now they have this committee. So that is something that we need, Scott, that we need to get in contact with them, you know what I mean? And also, as I watched last night, I'm not voting, I don't care about any of them because they all live, but we needed to be on that platform, either side. All of us that are suffering and going through this being directed, no one talked about that. I watched it because I wanted to see, all of their favorite and their flagrant conversations and all that. No one talked about direct energy weapons. No one talked about the MK Ultra, the COINTELPRO. No one talked about all the things that we're talking about here. So why isn't it not mentioned on these? They want us to vote, but none of the things that we are hurting for or suffering from was represented. Right. So how can we get on that platform? We had a mass killing kid, Uvalde here. I don't know if you guys heard about it in Texas. Yeah. A mass shooting. One of the mothers was there, and she was on that platform, and it made sense. But we need to be on that platform big time. Why should I vote for you if I'm suffering? You're talking about what you're going to do, and you're lying, but I want to hold you accountable. I'm only going to vote for you if you bring out this direct energy weapon, this mass crime that's happening secretly, So, you guys, we needed to be on this stage that's happening, the Republican versus the Democrat versus Republican. None of them said anything about what I was going through.
Sandy, I was thinking the same thing but different wording. Probably over the last 2 weeks, I'm like, who's going to shut down direct energy weapons? Y'all know it goes on. So whoever does that, that's the one I would vote for.
That's going to get my vote. All that other stuff you're talking about, I don't care. I want to talk about this suffering that I've been suffering for 18 years, and some 20, and some 1, whatever, the whole thing, and some have died.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't care about the housing, and I want the compensation. I want a compensation, but I want to hold them accountable too. And I know I don't supposed to be. I know that they get involved because when you get angry. But when I get angry, that's that makes me move, because when I'm passive, I procrastinate. But when I get angry, okay. So how can we get on these big stages with these Republicans? They want my vote. They want your vote. What can we do, you guys, to be out there so we can be on those big screens talking? Scott, what do you think?
That's a good question. The first thing that comes to mind is getting involved with the Neuro Rights Ethics Committee and the Brain Initiative Committee. Writing as many letters as we possibly can. But that's an excellent question. If I had an answer for it, I'd be up there.
Yeah, so that's what I think, because this is the time. They want our vote. They want something, and it's millions of us. It's millions of us that's suffering.
It is.
Yeah.
So if we bomb rush that place, we can care less about all that other stuff they're talking about, that fake sugar stuff. We're talking about real people here who are getting ate up and sleeping, can't get a job, master's degrees, doctors, whatever, homeless, living in the cars. This is ridiculous. Sad. Yeah. And I mean, I just can't believe that. And a crime, weapons used against your own Americans. We're suffering from war crimes in America. You're Americans. We're Americans, and we are suffering from our own people who are shooting us with microwave. Our bodies are not meant to take. I'm a nurse, and we all know that our bodies aren't meant to take weapons 24/7. Someone shoots. It's only by the grace of God that we are handling. Your bodies and livers and brains can't handle this.
Right.
And meanwhile, we're watching our country send war weapons to other countries, which I do support Israel. Whoever blesses them will be blessed. Whoever curses them will be cursed. But sending everything to them, Ukraine, if I'm a citizen right here, can I get the representation?
Right.
Mr. Scott, I have another question. I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Queen.
I have a question for you. For those people that they do approve for this compensation, do they have or will they have some type of immunity for them not to disclose the content of that compensation? Do you have any idea?
I don't, but I would make the assumption that the benefits that you receive from the state are going to be kept confidential to keep it out of the public eye, so people don't know exactly how much money you have or how much to sue you for or that type of thing. So I'm not sure. I can't give you an answer for sure, but I would assume that everything would be private between the state and the individual.
Yeah.
But that goes back to my previous question. So if it is held confidential and you're not supposed to disclose it, how will that impact you on further lawsuits or if you do receive this type of benefit?
Well, they're not supposed to disclose it. You have the option of telling whoever you want what you received and what's going on. There would be no limits. They're not going to say we're going to give you medical and financial assistance, but you can't tell anyone.
Legally, yeah.
But if like I contacted the Crime Victim Compensation Board and wanted to know how much you received, they're not going to give me that information.
Okay.
Or it's not public information.
Yeah, it won't be public. It would have to come from you.
Good question. Good question, both of you. So it is. Oh, go ahead, Queen.
Sorry, Sandy. I always have questions. Okay. From just based on some research that I've done, and also talking to some people that are dealing with this atrocious crime, there are some people, very few, that have been able to come out of this, right? And they have gone through the court system, but they are given immunity not to talk about it. So if that is the case, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to disable, what is the word? They're trying to disable.
Trying to hush it up.
No, what is the word I'm looking for? Precedents. Precedents. They're trying to disable precedent because once you have precedents, then another person can use that towards their case. That's how it works, right? So they're trying to stop a person that was able to get themselves out of this atrocious crime and try to stop them from sharing what they did or try to remove the case of public view. Then how do other people then go, do what they need to do to get themselves out of it as well?
That's a tough situation. I know with the CIA and the diplomats, the very few that qualified for Havana Syndrome medical and financial assistance came a caveat where they weren't allowed to talk about it or risk getting their assistance cut off. I haven't heard of anyone who's been able to get out of it, including James Walbert. He's doing better than he used to be doing, but he's still dealing with the assaults, even though he won a court case. Senator Johnson has lost hearing in one of his ears and, is a senator and can't get out of it. So I think what the three-letter agencies are doing is acknowledging the fact that their own people are getting hit, the diplomats and the CIA operatives, giving them financial and medical assistance, but telling them that their medical and financial assistance is at risk if they go public, and they talk about it. So they're hesitant to talk about it, but I know that there are a lot of disgruntled CIA and diplomats that feel that the compensation for the suffering that they've been receiving is not worthwhile, and they wish the government would do more.
Awesome.
Thank you for answering it.
Sure.
Well, it is 2:11. My time is kind of, it's running down, but, this conversation is just so, we can go on and on because, learning and coming together. I wanted to see if Samia was still on the call because, we always, I like to start praying for everyone because I go on her call and it's a prayer call. And just pray for everyone before we leave each other for the moment. Is there any other last thought that you want to say? Introduce your website. I'll give everybody a chance to introduce their website or how to reach you, and then you can go from there. Scott?
I have a blog and a YouTube channel, which I'm happy to give out. It'll probably take too much time to give out right now, so I'm going to go ahead and give out my phone number and my email, and if you're interested, I'd be happy to pass along the information.
Yeah.
My phone number is area code 310-339-0162, and I'll repeat it. It's 310-339-0162, and you can email me at mindcontrolinformation@gmail.com. Again, it's mindcontrolinformation@gmail.com. And I hold an LA group meeting, which is open to everyone in the country, every other Wednesday, the first and third Wednesdays of the month. At 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're interested in getting on the mailing list for the announcement for the meetings, go ahead and shoot me a call with your email address, or shoot me an email with your email address, and I'll go ahead and add it to you so you have the information. It does conflict with Sonia's call. She has one on Wednesday as well, but sometimes after her call is over, she comes over to our call, and we have a good time talking about various issues, including crime compensation. And what I'm trying to do with the LA group, LA is such a large area with so many victims. I'm trying to network all of the victims that are together. LA is pretty spread out, and it can take you an hour to get from one side of LA to another in traffic usually.
Like Texas, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is network people that live next to each other so they have a support network, so they have somebody that they can call. So often when you complain to your family and friends, they get tired of hearing it and they don't want to take your calls. So I do my best to talk about my targeting with my family and friends and rely on my support network. It seems to be going well. We just had a gathering on Saturday. We met at Starbucks, and there were 5 of us that lived within about 15, 20 miles from each other. And it was very pleasant. There were no arguments. Sort of, we all come from different walks of life, but we're all together by this horrible experience, and we're going to stick together until we're free. So the best thing that I do is try and network people with people that are close to them so they have a support network and they have a feeling of family and they have a safety net to fall back on. So that's what I've been working on. And any of you are more than welcome to reach out to me and ask me any questions. Get on the mailing list, and I'd be happy to give out my YouTube channel and my blog as well. And I'll be on next Friday, and we're going to do Maryland next Friday. We'll pick up.
Yay.
That's awesome.
All right.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other last comments? Because we're,
Tracy. Sorry, Hi. I just want to say thank you. Sorry, the dogs are barking. I just want to say thank you, and thank you for all this information, God. Sandy, on Fridays.
Yes.
I'm doing it now because I don't know why they're barking.
Yes, next Friday at 12 noon Central Standard Time. And if anyone else had anything to say, then I'll say my last spill because I have my little thing that I say at the end. That's okay. But any other last thoughts or comments before we end?
Yeah, I just want to I really appreciate everybody for listening, and thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on.
This is the first time that I've actually listened to your channel.
Wow,
I didn't know it existed. Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. Thank you so much. It's always been a blessing. This call is just all of us coming together, working together. So even in the pain, in the struggle. So we learned so much today. I learned about his call. So I'm excited on coming on that. And so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it, even in pain. We're gonna do it.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for having me. You guys were a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. And Scott helping with the Attorney General victim form. Is that something we need to help with? Attorney General victim form. Is that the same? That's probably what we're working on, huh?
Yeah, it's through the Crime Victim Compensation Board. It's through the Attorney General's office, I believe, and that's why it says it on the application.
Oh, okay, yes.
Oh.
Well, yes, he is, Miss Glamour. Oh, yes, that's what we just did. We just did the Texas one. So, all righty. Well, again, my name is Sandra, and I'm the host of the I Shall Bloom show. I can be reached at sandra@ishallbloom.com. Also, my phone number, it's 210-986-9881. That's 210-986-9881. I'm also the state contact for Targeted Justice, Texas. So, kind of doing two things. If you want to come on my show, you want to talk about anything overcoming, you just have an idea that you want to talk about to help us live better, be better in this while we go through this, give me a call. My talk show is I Shall Bloom Talk Show on YouTube. If you can subscribe, like, and ring the bell, because you never want to miss a premiere episode of the show. And also remember, my saying is, I shall bloom, you shall bloom, and we shall bloom.
Yeah.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
All right.
Yes.
Hate to leave. You know what I mean? I hate to leave. But I have one more show, so they're waiting. But I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next Friday. And I will give you a call, Elso, in about an hour. And then, Scott, I'll give you a call in about 2 hours, and we can talk about this committee, ethics committee.
Sounds
good. Yeah.
All right. So
I'll be waiting. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Love you all.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Beautiful show.
Great show.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Tranquility. You did that. Wow, that worked. Tranquility?
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
My dress was too short. I didn't even know. I left some clothes here to change because I changed and a lot when they burn me up. So I'll come here and change dresses. And this one is just too short. But oh my God,
I couldn't tell. You look nice for work today. All right. See you later.
Okay, bye, you guys. Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Oh, and I'll talk to you about that thing, too. Yesterday's thing.